Welcome back to our mystery recaps. Friends, today I will show you the 2018 science fiction thriller Film Replicas. There are spoilers ahead. Watch out and be cautious. A helicopter carrying a valuable cargo flies to Puerto Rico's Cebu Island. William is awaiting the arrival of the shipment in his office. The helicopter lands on Bayanihan Industries property, and the entire facility is immediately notified of its arrival. William walks alongside Scott and Margaret towards the experimental laboratory. He inquires as to whether the donor has signed the required documents. Here is the official announcement. He grabs his belongings and follows suit. The donor is being placed and unpacked next to a robot body in the laboratory. William and Ed discuss the details of the donor's passing before continuing with the experiment. Ed examines the donor's cortical activity and deems him viable. William agrees with the conclusion and informs everyone that his biological brain will be replicated within a synthetic brain. He instructs Ed to start the procedure. The process of transferring the soldier's brain using the neural probe designed to perform the task has commenced. William initiates the neural imprint and works to apply the human mind to the synthetic mind. He activates all mental processes and instructs Margaret to energize the body. As the replica awakens and begins to move, William addresses it by name. William responds that he has transformed into a synthetic brain while connecting to the internet. It begins to panic and tear itself apart, piece by piece, until William changes the subject. William informs Jones of their recent accomplishments. Jones is unimpressed that the subjects spoke for the first time and informs him that the company's shareholders require greater results. William informs him that his family has made too many sacrifices in order to support his career. He assures Jones that his breakthrough is imminent. Later, William drives home and meets his wife Mona, who is packing the car for a trip in front of the house. He rushes inside and discovers that his children, Matt, Zoe, and Sophia, have not yet packed. When Ed enters their home, Sophie hands him her pet fish and instructs him not to overfeed it. He asks William if he has spoken with Jones and if he has been fired. Mona overhears their conversation as the subject explains that it tore itself apart. William, however, interrupts him and informs her that it spoke. She argues that it could speak, it could also feel, and that he should refrain from resurrecting people until he has figured everything out. As a physician, Mona disapproves of the possibility of human suffering in his trials. Later, while driving in the rain, they nearly collide with a truck. It was a close call, but they are all right. Suddenly, a tree crashes into the car, killing Mona. William then drives his vehicle off a cliff and into the water. He has regained consciousness and is searching for any survivors. No one else has survived the crash besides him. Instead of calling an ambulance, William contacts Ed. He has brought their equipment to the location and is following William in search of the bodies. William requests assistance, but Ed believes they should call the police. Ed eventually changes his mind and assists William in transferring his family's minds into the equipment. They arrive at the location, and Ed explains that he has not yet created human clones because they never turn out correctly. Furthermore, he requests that the bodies be removed. He agrees and tells him he will meet him at the house when the vehicle arrives. When he opens the truck, William observes that there are only 3 body components. He is unable to decide which family member to resurrect, so he writes their names on a piece of paper and asks Ed to choose. He also refuses to do so William must decide for himself. The paper he has removed from the ball is Zoe. Later, Ed instructs him on how to take care of the pods and maintain their chemical equilibrium. The most important factor, however, is maintaining the energy in the pods. They must never lose their authority. William does not have a backup generator, so he attaches a large number of car batteries to the pods. Ed informs him that the clones will require 17 days to emerge, giving him time to give them consciousness. He asks them what will happen to Zoe, and Williams responds that he will erase her memory from their hard drives so that they will never remember her. He is observed erasing Zoe's memory from the minds of the others, but the hard drive containing her consciousness remains operational. A few days later, Ed encounters Jones at work, who questions him about William's absence. He lies about why he is absent. Then, Jones instructs him to inform him that they will soon be shut down if they do not make progress with this synthetic. Ed calls William to inform him that if the business is shut down, the company will search for the expensive equipment he currently possesses. William instructs him to come to the residence and watch the pod so that he can go to work. Jones pays him a visit as soon as he arrives at work and doesn't appear too concerned that he may be ill. Zoe's drawing is on his desk and he carries it with him as he walks to his front door when he returns home. He informs the math teacher, who has come to check on him because he has been absent from school for 5 days, that he has chickenpox. Then he asks William why he hasn't contacted the children's school and Mona's workplace, as if he expected no one to notice his family's disappearance. Later, he removes their laptops and cell phones. He uses them to email the children's school and text with their friends, making it appear that they are still alive. Margaret is overseeing the preparations for the robot body in the meantime. William is attempting to transfer the mind from one body to another while working from home. He conducts an unsuccessful simulation and is losing hope. The clones are nearly complete and continue to cover him at work while he runs simulation after simulation after simulation. Ed arrives at William's residence 17 days after the accident to remove the clones from their pods. William informs him that he is not yet prepared because he does not understand why the previous experiment failed. William's tour dates are announced immediately, and he is thrilled that their experiment succeeded. Later, they construct force for the clones, and Ed leaves, stating that he will return the following day to check on them. William continues to review the footage of the failed experiment from the night before, but has no idea why it failed. He is about to divorce his wife when he receives a call from Jones. During their conversation, he observes that whenever he touches Mona's clone, her heartbeat increases. William informs Ed, upon his arrival at the residence, that he has figured everything out. He brings him to Mona and reveals his findings to her. Then he explains that the brain transfer is ineffective because it is not in its own body. When placed in a synthetic brain, the mind panics because it cannot locate its own flesh. The solution to the problem of transferring a mind into a synthetic body is to deceive the mind into believing it is in its own body. William returns to the residence and begins to clean it up and remove all traces of what occurred. Finally, he must get rid of all of Zoe's belongings and make it appear as though she never existed. He packs up all of her belongings and discards them. Later that evening, he lies down next to his wife in bed. The next morning, William discovers that Mona has disappeared. When he hurries downstairs, he sees everyone eating breakfast as if nothing had happened. Mona declares that she feels fantastic and then goes for a run. The children request pancakes, so he prepares some for them. Mona is jogging when she experiences a sudden abdominal ache. Sophie pours milk into a cup upon her return, revealing that it has curdled. Mona claims that she received it only recently. William receives a phone call from Ed, informing him that he must be present at work if he does not want their secret to be revealed. He informs the clone family that he must leave for work, and they do not find this odd. However, Mona finds his behavior peculiar. William begins working. Together with Ed, he is preparing the donor for the transplant, but he deems him non-viable because he does not want to subject another individual to the rejection phase and the suffering it may cause. Jones is breathing down their necks, and Ed is disappointed that they did not complete the task. William has the notion to transfer his own mind into the artificial brain, so he takes the transfer equipment to the restroom and performs the transference protocol on himself. Mona is immediately upset upon William's return home that evening, telling him that she believes something is wrong with her. She has difficulty recalling many events from the past few weeks. He offers her consolation and instructs her to rest. He enters the basement to compose the algorithm. The drive containing his consciousness is placed alongside Zoe's. Sophie later has a nightmare about her mother's death and calls her. However, William enters her room and informs her that she had a nightmare. He returns her to the basement and modifies her memory to erase the memory of their death. Mona catches him there and inquires about Sophie's condition. She desires to learn the truth. William informs her that he revived them from the dead. Later, during a conversation, she asks him how he could have done that. He tells her that he couldn't bear to lose them and felt compelled to take action. She understands. The family meets Ed the following day at the market. Mona believes she sees something and nearly recalls Zoe. That evening during dinner, William inquires whether they should return home. Sophie inquires who. Zoe informs him that the name is written in crayon in her closet. The three of them begin to recall small details about her, and Mona confronts William on the subject. He attempts to deceive her, but she sees through his lies. Unluckily, Jones is not. Following that, he explains that the company is part of the weapons industry, not the biomedical industry. Jones has an alternate strategy for his findings. He instructs him to provide the algorithm, then bid farewell to his family. William goes to retrieve the algorithm, while Jones sends texts to the assassins to prepare. When he returns, he attempts to drug Jones, but ends up knocking him out instead. He destroys the algorithm and explains to Mona everything about Zoe and the company for which he works. William informs her that they must flee. They enter the vehicle and flee before the assassins become aware of what is happening. Jones awakens, sees the destroyed algorithm, and realizes that it is irreparable. One of his men enters the room and shows him the family's tracker. He warns him not to simultaneously shoot them in the head. A car begins to pursue the family and crashes into them. They were able to quickly escape. William explains to Mona that the trackers are attached to their central nervous system and cannot be removed. Mona has a different opinion and instructs him to drive to the clinic where she works. Mona places them in a room and instructs Sophie to lie down while she prepares a defibrillator upon their arrival. She explains that she can locate the trackers using this method as the assassins arrive at the hospital. They notice that one of the trackers has gone dark. Next, Mona places the defibrillator on Matt's chest and administers a shock. As William prepares to shock Mona, the assassins eliminate the security guard. Her tracker vanishes and the assassins are unable to locate her. The family manages to escape the hospital. Jones calls someone. William has driven them to the marina and is now checking to see if Ed's boat is accessible while he searches for the keys. Assailants arrive at the marina and abduct the children. Mona witnesses their abduction but is unable to intervene in time. Ed is at the office, where Jones returns his boat keys while Mona and the children are brought inside. He informs Mona that William needs only to cooperate and everything will be fine. She asserts that they will simply murder them. William arrives at the facility that explains what transpired with Jones and informs her that he was involved from the beginning. William enters the room and apologizes to him. Then, he attempts to negotiate with Jones, who murders Ed in order to make his threats more threatening. William reconstructs the algorithm for Jones and initiates the imprinting process within the artificial brain. He provides the body with energy without anyone's knowledge. It begins to move and breaks free from its confines. William returns to Jones and provides the algorithm to him. Just as Jones prepares to murder Mona, the robot enters the building and states that he's there to protect his family. Assassins fire at him, but the bullets pass through them like butter. The family prepares to depart by getting into the car. However, William cannot simply abandon the robot. Mona directs him to leave. Jones is saved in the nick of time by his intervention. They engage in conversation. In addition, the robot claims that the body feels like his own. Jones informs him that the company will pursue them, even if they kill him. William and the robot offer Jones an irresistible deal. The robot instructs him to accompany the family while it stays behind to deal